Hi, my name is Listiner Inspires, and I am looking to change the narrative of what trauma and abuse looks like, from shame, silence, and stigma to support and solutions, from hopelessness and rejection to healing and recovery. How do I plan on doing that? By bringing awareness that the problem that goes with not talking about what you've been through, not addressing it, not only affects that individual, but it affects us as a community. It affects us as a society.
Hey, happy Tuesday, y'all. It's not morning. Good afternoon, or whatever time it might be when you tune in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Whenever you catch the live, if you're catching it live, or you tune in for a replay, hello. It's Listiner Inspires coming at you live with my Tuesday teaching. Super excited today. Got my workout in, got my fresh face, I'm glowing, I'm happy. Hey, period. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get this started because if anything, I like to be prompt and on time. Make sure you hit the like and share button so you know sharing is caring, and you never know who might need this information. So let me introduce myself for those of you who might not know. My name is The Listiner Inspires. I'm an award-winning author. I'm a healing and trauma recovery accountability expert as well as speaker. I am also the founder and creator of Rock Your Rebel Creative Consulting Company. Healing is a Journey, which is a traveling deliverance and healing ministry, and Teach, Lead, and Heal, which is the company that I create to teach and train and do workshops for ministries, organizations, and businesses, teaching them how to move beyond the trauma into their healing by providing tools, support, resources, and solutions. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So today, without further ado, we are talking about acknowledging it. If you tuned in 2 weeks ago, I talked about forgiveness and learning how to let go. I also wrote a blog last week. So, get in tune. There's a lot of ways to get content, creative content for me that will help you on your healing journey, no matter where you're at on your healing journey, whether you are in the beginning stages, whether you are journeying along for some years. Healing, remember, is not just a one and done situation. Healing is a journey. It is a process. Be gentle with yourself. Allow yourself to go through the process and do not have any shame about the process that you're going through. Okay, so I'm excited. Today we're talking about acknowledging it. Acknowledging what has happened to you, acknowledging the trauma that has happened to you, whether it was in your childhood, whether it was a few years ago, heck, whether it was last week. Acknowledging the trauma of the past, of the pain that you've experienced is so important. Let me ask you a question. Do you think by not acknowledging what happened to you makes it less real, less painful, or less traumatic? A lot of times when we experience things that are hurtful and painful and traumatic, we, as a defense mechanism, as a way to keep us from feeling what we either reliving that experience or even just dealing with it, we try to act like it didn't happen. Maybe we don't address it. Maybe we feel like if we just move on and don't think about it any longer, it won't affect us. But just because you cover up a wound does not mean it has healed. Okay, let me say that to you again. Just because you cover up a wound does not mean it has healed. A lot of times, that's what we do. We cover up the things that we experience by trying to forget it, by trying to drink it away, by trying to smoke it away, by trying to have different sexual partners to make us feel some type of closeness to something, to help us to forget what happened to us. And none of those things are the solution to what you've gone through. None of those things will make you healed and whole from what you've experienced. They may temporarily cover the pain of what you experienced, but they will not help you be healed and whole. How do I know? Because I'm trying all of it, and none of it helps. And so I did not really start to have true healing until I decided to acknowledge the things that I had gone through, until I started to address them and tackle it head on. And so let's talk about the definition of acknowledge. Okay. The definition of acknowledge is to accept or admit the existence or truth of. Okay. Let me say that to you again. The definition of acknowledge is to accept or admit the existence or truth of. So when you are acknowledging what has happened to you that was traumatic, you are admitting that this happened and it's the truth. Just because you don't like how it was, or you don't like that experience, or you're choosing to forget, does not make it any less true. And so once you start to accept that that experience you had was traumatic, that experience you had was hurtful and painful, you didn't like how that felt. When you start to acknowledge that, there's a healing process that happens, because then that the layers of scars start to debris start to be removed from your heart, from your emotions. And it's not going to feel good. I can tell you right off the bat, it's not going to feel good. Not everything that's good for you always feels good, but that don't mean we don't do it. Like working out, right? Working out is good for you. I love how I feel after working out. Like I said this morning, got a good workout in. As you can see, my skin is glowing. I love how I feel and look when I work out. But sometimes I don't like to work out all the time. It hurts. I'm gonna be honest. It hurts. It requires discipline. It requires doing it even when I don't feel like it, because my emotions, sometimes I might be, like, I don't want to work out. I'm just gonna chill. But I know that it's beneficial for me, so I do it because I need to, right? And so when we are acknowledging what has happened to us, we are telling ourselves, we're giving ourselves permission to heal from what we have experienced. Because you cannot heal from something you don't even want to address has happened. Okay? So I like to look up synonyms of words to kind of see what other words fall into that same category. Um, so a few of the words that came to mind, that came not to mind, but came up in my search was admit, recognize, confess, realize, and then interesting enough, respect and appreciate. And I thought that's interesting. How does acknowledging something, how is respect and appreciate in that same category, right? Well, when you are acknowledging that what happened to you was not okay and it caused some severe damage, you are respecting yourself enough to start a healing process. You are appreciating the truth of what has happened, and you're willing to address it to move forward in your healing process. Okay, I hope you guys are taking notes, because anyone who's ever followed me or you attend any of my teaching or training, I always suggest take notes, because you can go back and look over what you've heard. I'll be dropping knowledge nuggets. Okay, so you want to capture them, because I do not remember what I say. It's the Holy Spirit gives it to me and I give it to you. Period. So the confession part also stuck out to me, to confess. You're confessing with your mouth that this thing was something that has hurt you. This thing is something that did not make you feel good. This thing was something that ultimately has affected you in your very present, real moment, right now, life. Whether we want to admit it or not, what we go through, what we have gone through in our past, the things we've experienced affect us. Even if it's in our childhood trauma affects us all the way up into our adulthood if we do not address it, if we do not acknowledge it, if we do not start the healing process. How do I know? Because I have experienced as an adult certain things. I wonder, like, okay, why do I feel this way? Why am I this way? And I realized, like, because of what I've gone through as a child. And so one of the things that I started to realize is that speaking your truth, and not the truth that you want to believe, but the truth of what really happened. Because sometimes also, as a protection to ourselves, our emotions, or our mind, we like to have our own idea of what happened, right? Outside of what really happened. Maybe if you had an abusive parent, you might have made excuses for why they were abusive. Well, they really couldn't do the best they could because X, Y, and Z. Let me tell you, there is no excuse for abuse, period. Yes, I get that usually people who abuse their children have been abused, but there is no excuse to continue that cycle on to from generation and generation and generations to come. Okay? Because then If you know how that felt and what it did to you, why would you put that same type of um horrific experience on another? And so a lot of times, to make us feel better, we make excuses or we try to paint a different picture of what happened. That still does not help you, because you're avoiding the inevitable. Is that what happened to you has caused you some deep rooted trauma that's affecting you in probably almost every area of your life, if you're honest. And so what confession does is it acknowledges that what happened, it happened. This is the way it happened, the truth of it, right? Because as we know, when it said, one of the synonyms for, well, one of the definitions for acknowledge is to accept or admit the existence or truth of. Not just acknowledge, like, yeah, my childhood was okay, but my childhood was jacked up. This is what happened, and I want to start the healing process. When you're acknowledging, you're also not you're not putting your everyone business out there. You're not like, you're not gossiping. You're telling the truth of what happened in order for you to start healing. Now, I'm not saying get on, like, first of all, don't get on social media and start telling everything that you've gone through if you not have first gone through some therapy, and then you're using your platform for the purpose of helping others to heal. That's the first thing. We're not putting our business out there to shame other people. We're confessing in a safe space. What does that safe space look like? It could be in your time in prayer with the Lord. It should definitely be in therapy, because I believe in prayer and therapy. I believe in the Christ Jesus and therapy. So if you've had any type of abuse that's happened to you, you definitely should be going into therapy so you can process what happened to you. So in a safe space of therapy, journaling, that's something that I do quite often. That's why I have a lot of journals over here. I do a lot of journaling. I also have done my due diligence in therapy as well, to get that up and out, because you don't want that to either lay dormant or fester, and then it spills out into a point where you yourself become toxic from the trauma you've experienced. Okay, so John, and so I'm going to go to the scriptures. Okay? John 8:32. This is New Living Translation. I'm going to put that in the comment section so you can look it up for yourself, research it, meditate on it. Let the Lord, give you what you need from it. But John 8:32, I'm reading from the New Living Translation, says, "And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." The truth will set you free. So when you confess the truth of what happened to you, you are setting yourself free to start to live a life that God wants for you. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. Not as soon as you confess, all of a sudden things shift. But there is a shift. There is a change, but it's not going to be like, oh, in that moment, then everything is better. No, but you're starting a process that's going to lead you to the freedom of living a life that you deserve. And maybe not even had imagined for yourself, because you've lived in this stronghold of covering up the things that you've gone through, hiding the things that you've gone through, not acknowledging the things that you've gone through. Okay. So today we're going to acknowledge it. Okay. We're going to acknowledge the things that we've gone through. You don't have to acknowledge it right here with me, but I advise you to get you a pen and paper, get you a journal, and start to write these things down. Right. But let me tell you, I like to share transparent moments, but let me share something with you. When I started acknowledging that I was abused by my mother, because I knew my childhood was not the best, and I would use little words like, yeah, I didn't grow up in the best childhood environment. I didn't grow up in an environment conducive to my childhood, using these play on words to not acknowledge stuff. But when I spoke the truth of what I experienced in confidence with my best sister friend, then eventually I did it in therapy. And when I spoke the truth about it, and I started to really sit in a space with the Lord to really start to have these traumatic memories recalled, I began a deeper level of healing, not surface level, a deeper level of healing, and an understanding of who I was, and the way how I was at that time was because of what I had experienced. And it broke the shame off of me, because I had a lot of shame of just how I didn't feel affection. I didn't feel connected. I was always on guard. I felt like, I wanted to be this loving, cuddly person, but it was like I just couldn't because I was just always on guard and I was always trying to protect myself because of what I had experienced. And when I started to acknowledge like this was done to me, X, Y, and Z was done to me by my mother, and I started to go into therapy and really talk about it, and not just surface level, but like deep things. Yeah, it did hurt. I broke down and cried and cried and cried, but I felt a weight lifted off of me. I felt this weight of heaviness and just shame lifted off of me because it's like there's healing in that. I began to really understand like a lot of my toxic decisions were because of my traumatic experiences. Now, it's not making excuses for the decisions I made because I could have very well have decided to do the opposite. But because I hadn't addressed the things in my past in an appropriate manner, I was not able to really focus on the present moment and even I wanted a future, but thinking about this decision I was making that would lead up to that future that I wanted. And so that began the deeper thing, the deeper healing of I wouldn't say reliving the past because I didn't relive it, but addressing it, acknowledging it, telling the truth about it, not just the pretty, like not just painting a rosy picture of okay, yeah, my environment, I grew up in a not so happy home, but no, I grew up in an abusive home and I was abused in every way possible. I was in mental hospitals from the age of 7 for depression and suicide. I had to acknowledge that that was not a childhood that anyone should experience, and I totally hated my childhood. That was the truth. That was my truth. And so when I addressed that, when I talked about that, when I brought that up, when I confessed that, then deeper healing came. And then the things that were keeping me bound because I was not talking about those things start to be released. I started to feel a freedom. I started to feel a new level of confidence where I am who I am. So you either take it or leave it. And not a defensive way, but a way of, yeah, I may not have done this, and this the right way, but moving forward, I'm walking in my healing. I'm walking in my freedom. I'm walking in my wholeness. And if I have a moment where I might slip up or slip out, okay, let's move forward. Let's not stay there. And I give myself that grace. I give myself that space to be who I need to be. No excuses, all truth, right? And so acknowledging what has hurt you by either talking about it, writing about it, both release the spirit of shame off of your life. Shame is something that a lot of us struggle with, and a lot of times we don't even realize it. We don't realize it because it's become our best friend. We hold secrets. We don't talk about certain stuff because we're afraid of what somebody might think of us. No, everybody walking this earth has done some things they're not proud of, has struggled with some things that they don't want to talk about. So no one should be judging anyone. But most importantly, we should not be holding these things over our head to not be able to live a life we need to live. There is freedom in confessing the truth, no matter what it is or how ugly or unpleasant it may be. And oftentimes, when we are not acknowledging what has been done to us, then most likely, here's a good one, most likely we are also holding on to unforgiveness. Because if you're not acknowledging what was done to you, how are you forgiving? How are you forgiving that person, forgiving the circumstances, forgiving yourself? Because you're not even talking about it, right? You're not even addressing it. So then you cannot move forward because you're not even addressing it, nor are you forgiving what's happening to you. Think about that. And because when you're not forgiving someone, when you have, and when I say forgive, I don't mean like you're forgiven and you're like, okay, yep, they did what they did, we cool now. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not telling you that. I'm saying when you are forgiven, when you have forgiven personal persons, the circumstances, yourself, you are releasing that hold that unforgiveness has on you. You are releasing yourself from the hurt, the shame, the anger, the bitterness. A lot of us are walking around angry and bitter because we have not forgiven, because we didn't even acknowledge what we went through. Baby, bitterness is not cute. Okay? Anger, being angry just because it's not cute. Yeah, nah. And it's usually wrapped up in I don't need nobody, no new friends. I'm independent. But God didn't create us to be just stand alone by ourselves. Yeah, no. You are angry, you are hurt, you are bitter, you have resentment, you have shame, you have unforgiveness, and you need to address that. Otherwise, you will continue to walk around with this chip on your shoulder, and no one will want to be talking to you. They might talk to you in your face, but behind your back, like, oh yeah, nah. No, you don't want to live like that. You don't want to look back when you get in 60s, 70s, and whatever, and then you're like, man, I wish I coulda, woulda, shoulda. No, let's deal with this now. While you are alive and well, let's address it. And so acknowledging your past trauma will require you to bring up those dreadful memories. And so I would definitely advise you to seek professional help. I would advise, I keep saying, I'm gonna keep saying it. Therapy is amazing. Find you a good therapist and get in therapy and don't hold back. They are trained to receive all that information and help you process it and give you tools to be able to work through the things you've experienced. And most importantly, your healing will come when you are willing to address what's been done. Okay? Period and amen. So I have 3 tips for you, and I want you to remember this. Tip number 1, and do this in your spare time. Write out the names of the person and the actions and acts. First write out the. Okay, let me slow down because I'm reading too fast, right? So I'm gonna type this up in the comments. Tips. Tip number 1, and that was not how you spell number 1. So, and if you have any questions or anything, you can put them in the comment section, or you can slide in my DM with the question. I'm more than willing to answer questions. I want you to be whole and healed. So definitely, don't don't allow your shame to keep you from asking a question that you might have. Okay. So write out the names of the person, of the people or person, people or person, and the actions. Okay, that's the first step. You're gonna do that, and this is not something that you don't need to show anybody. This is for you. Write it. Be honest. Tell the truth. If you need more than one sheet of paper, get you a notebook. Okay, and spend some time in prayer when you're doing this, so that you can really get. So, because sometimes we have hidden memories, hidden things that we don't didn't think that was there because we're built to, like, our mind protects us from certain things. You might not even remember some of these things. Sit down and don't rush through this list. Take some time with it. Maybe allow yourself a week or so, just to a week to process things, like and start to write it out. Be honest. You don't have to show or share it to anybody. This is for you. That's the first tip. That's the first tip. Tip number 2, ask God to help you to forgive them and what's been done. And the reason I say ask God to help you, because it might be something horrific, like being raped. You might not want to, like, who wants to forgive the rapist? Let's be honest. You might, I mean, I could tell you I didn't want to. I was like, oh, that was, no, they knew what they were doing. And it scarred me for life. But I did it because I didn't want that. I didn't want, it was like me not forgiving my rapist was like being raped all over again consistently, because I'm allowing the unforgiveness to hold me hostage. Yeah, that don't sound like something I want to keep doing, keep experiencing. So I had to forgive them. And it was necessary, but I needed God's help with that. So ask God to help you to forgive the things that's happened to you and the those they have done unto you. So forgive them and what's been done. I'm just gonna write down. And then wait. Okay. And then the last tip is wish them well. Speak by speaking the best over their life. And when I say speaking the best, you don't have to go into a detail, because a lot of times we want vengeance. I don't know about you, but me, when I think about the things that happened when before I started my healing process, when I thought about the things that I had gone through, I was like, I want them to feel the same pain I experienced. Vengeance doesn't really do anything but causes toxicity to set up in your heart. And how can you love from a space of being toxic? There's no love there. That's just toxic. So wish them well. And wish them well because it's be like, you pray to get the help they need. Because when someone abuses someone, when someone hurts someone in such a way where it's physical, however, it they need help. Like I cannot see myself doing the things to other people that have been done to me. Like no, even if I don't like, you could be my enemy. You could be somebody I just don't like. I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't wish the things I've gone through on anyone because it is very traumatic. And so wishing them well could be wish that they get some help. Get some help so they can start to move in a space of their own healing. Because we know that hurt people hurt other people. So wish them well by speaking the best over their life and praying for them. I'm just typing this up. Speaking. And of course, I can't spell today. And so those are the 3 tips to start you off. And that. So I put the 3 tips in the comment section. You can definitely rewatch this replay on my YouTube channel. Look me up on Listiner Inspires. Make sure if you are watching me from YouTube, hit the subscribe button and the little bell to be notified when I go live. Because I'm going to try to, my goal is to do this, if not every week, every other week, every other Tuesday to be exact, and it'll be a different topic, but all of it is geared towards to helping you on your healing journey to move beyond your trauma until you're healing into the best space. And so also, I have some of my teachings come from this book, my journal book, Happiness is You. And this is the first book in the series of the Healing is the Journey teaching series, which basically walks you through the process of your healing. And so this is the first book. It's on my website. I'm going to put that in the comment section as well. ListinerInspires.com/author. You can also get journals on there as well. I talked about, writing these things down, and you might start to, like, as you start to write out some of the things you've experienced, you might feel led to write out more things. Well, I also have a journal. And so you can find both my journal book and my journal on ListinerInspires.com/author. And feel free to purchase it. And it will help you. And I'm not just saying because I wrote it, but I journal a lot. And when I go back and I see the things that I've written in the journal and I see where I'm at now and I see the growth, it encourages me to move forward. It encourages me to keep going on this journey of healing because, being healed and whole and just is a blessing. Being free is just so important. Make sure also to subscribe to my newsletters because every Thursday I publish a blog, and the blog usually goes into detail. Some people like to watch, some people like to read creative content. Whatever you choose to do, that's on you. But I have something for everyone. You can either read out the content, you can watch it, you can listen to it, and so I'm going to put that also in the link where you can go ahead and subscribe to the newsletter. And I promise you, I do not send out 15 million newsletters because I don't want 15 million newsletters. I don't send out a lot of promotional stuff because I wouldn't want that. And so I like to do what I want done to me, and I wouldn't want all of that information. And so everything I send is content that you can use, that you can take and you can apply to your life, and it will also help you to move forward on your healing journey. So thank you so much for tuning in to Teach, Lead, and Heal Teaching Tuesdays with the one and only Listiner Inspires. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe, and hit the notification button so you can know when I go live next. Love you guys and have a great and blessed day. Peace out.